I now have the pleasure of introducing Amit Bajaj, President, North America, Tata Consultancy Services, who is going to share Tata Consultancy Services Integrated Long-Term Plan. Welcome, Amit.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here, talking to all of you. I'm going to share, just by show of hands, how many of you know TCS? Okay, that makes my job easy, maybe a bit repetitive in that sense. But I'm going to talk about TCS, which is part of the Tata Group, and why we believe, that purpose centricity is at the core of value creation. To just contextualize TCS for all of you, I'll share a short video about the company, our origin, and how we have come to be. Let's hope the video plays.
Yes.
Okay.
From a single spark of inspiration, great empires are born. In the 1960s, we envisioned a world driven by computers, igniting a journey that transformed a simple idea into the global tech giant we know. From pioneering offshore delivery back in 1973, to resolving the Y2K bug, and cementing its position as global leader in emerging technologies, TCS has transformed ideas into reality. Pushing the boundaries of what's possible and redefining the tech landscape for generations to come, TCS has charted the course of history with each milestone. In 2004, TCS made a historic debut on NSE and BSE with the largest IPO at the time by a private sector company. Shareholders have been integral to TCS's growth trajectory. Giving back to shareholders and honoring their contribution has been a priority for TCS. From setting up India's first software research centre to forging advanced industry-academia collaborations to building a diverse co-innovation network, TCS has been making significant investments in research and innovation. Innovation is the beating heart of TCS. Backed by a strong culture of innovation, TCS is building competencies across industries and exploring new ideas to make technological breakthroughs every day. TCS's global network spans across 55 countries with over 300 offices and more than 200 state-of-the-art delivery centers. The stellar growth of TCS's brand value tells the story of its growing reputation as a trusted digital transformation partner. It is now the second most valuable brand in IT services in the world. Even as TCS grows as a global brand, nation building has been a key commitment for the IT services company. Having supported some of the largest and most mission-critical national digital transformations, TCS is steadfastly strengthening India's digital infrastructure. Equipped with a powerhouse of contextual knowledge and career growth opportunities, the TCS talent ecosystem is on a steady rise. In just 20 years, the number of employees has grown over 13 times. Through a growing network of sports sponsorships across running and motorsports, TCS is championing the cause of using technology to not only enhance sports performances but also promote sustainability. TCS has carved its place as a pioneer of emerging technologies. With AI disrupting industries around the world, TCS is all set to create one of the world's largest AI-ready workforces to help clients easily deploy the next-gen technology. At this momentous milestone, with the world at the cusp of the next technological revolution, TCS will lead the industry into the future while continuing to create value for all its stakeholders.
Thank you. What a story. When I joined the firm 27 years back, we were kind of a startup, $100 million in revenues. Been around for 30 years. Most of the startups struggled to get our first 10 million, first 100 million. And then as proverbial hockey stick effect came into play, and we are $30 billion today, world's #2 IT services and a business services firm with over 600,000 employees. Tremendous growth. And at the core of this growth, in my mind, is the purpose. And I'll talk more about that, the way we run the company, the way we think about value creation in the subsequent slides. But focus on the community, focus on people, focus on stakeholders across our employees, customers, suppliers. The community at large is at the core of that value creation. A lot of focus, since the 50 years we've existed, technology change has been a constant. So it is in the DNA of the company to rapidly evolve, but also in the DNA of the company to use technology as a disruptive force. So, being a services company, we are quite unique to invest significant capital into research. Over $200 million go into research and training of various TCS employees. We have over 7,000 researchers. And the focus of the research really is what we call applied technology, which is to take our customer problems and find innovative ways to solve those customer problems. You saw over 8,000 patents have been applied and close to 5,000 granted. The strategy of the firm has been fairly simple: to work with a very converged set of customers with a very diverse set of services. What do I mean by converged set of customers? For our scale, at $30 billion, we have a little less than 2,000 customers, right? So that, by any standard, if you look at our industry and, any adjoining industries, that's a fairly converged set of customer portfolio. And the idea is to serve the customers through their life journey. And we think about customer partnerships in lifetime values rather than in just quarterly or yearly values. And it does a few things. It keeps us honest because, you have to constantly stay relevant to the customers and reinvent yourselves. It also forces you to invest in what could create value for the customers. So as you can see, we think about our investments in two dimensions. One is around creating the right service portfolio, and on the extreme left or your right, you can see the service portfolio, fairly broad service portfolio, quite unique to TCS. You would see some of the advisory and IT services capability on the left-hand side. But given the industrial roots of the Tata Group, we are extremely big in engineering services, right? So the sort of the mechanical, industrial, electronic design, so, which is especially relevant in the whole supply chain relocation that is happening now, and the whole, what we are seeing in the semis and the semiconductor growth, right? Also, Balaji's here. He heads our CSR function globally. Deeply invested in creating propositions, solutions, accelerators to drive the sustainability agenda across various dimensions. And operate across the industry sectors, breadth of industries. And what that has also allowed us is to bring the interplay of industries, because many of the challenges that we face today, these challenges are rarely solved within one given industry context. And therefore, you need to intersect multiple industries and the knowledge of those industries and value chains to create new propositions. And finally, full stakeholders. I talked about services diversity. The other way to look at it is technology today is getting democratized, and almost everyone in the organization is consuming technology. Unlike even 10 years back, where there was a CIO function, which was the custodian of technology, today that function still exists to provide the foundation, but the consumption of technology and the ease with which it gets consumed means that we need to come much closer to the various stakeholders and the functions and make them easy to consume technology. So that's where we are investing across the stakeholder services and verticals. Just a journey in terms of how we have performed so far, in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability. I spoke about we have the industry-leading growth, industry-leading profitability, industry-leading employee retention. So none of this is opposed to each other, at least in our business philosophy. Employee retention is what drives us to have long-term relationships with our customers, which drives us the right revenue, which drives the right profitability. And you could also see our commitment to return back the value that we've generated to our shareholders in a very consistent way. And when we think about value creation, we think about it across the 5 capitals, whether it is the financial capital, the intellectual capital, the human capital, the natural capital, and the social capital. And in a very systematic way, think about our actions in each one of these spaces and how they connect to each other. I'm going to talk just a little bit more on the results, how we run the companies, the customer centricity. The first chart talks about the revenue bands of the customers. I talked about the strategy of a converged customer portfolio and diverse service portfolio, and to stay relevant and grow with customers. So on the top left corner, the chart shows our ability to stay relevant and grow those customer relationships, and how we've been able to move customers from a lower revenue bands to higher revenue bands consistently, very consistent and stable margin performance, cash flow generation, which is over 100% in our business. So all the matrices, and of course the results, not just in terms of the financial value, but also in terms of our community engagement. There are 3 themes that we strongly invest in to drive community engagement. The first one is around education. And over the last decade, we have perhaps become the largest corporation to engage, for example, here in North America and US, with kids in driving computational thinking and STEM education. So over the last several years, we've touched more than 2 million kids in US across all the 50 states through our flagship program, Ignite My Future and Go IT, which both works with students and kids in high school, but also teachers, because teachers spend a lot more time with kids, how they can bring computational thinking, creativity in the way they teach and educate kids has been core to our engagement with community. The other big initiatives that we focus on is environment and wellness. We are speaking here in New York City. We just had a fantastic 11th year of TCS New York City Marathon, where we are the title sponsors. World over, we sponsor over 14 marathons. And it's a unique way. It's a very egalitarian sport. Anyone with a pair of shoes can run. And we encourage people to drive both physical and mental fitness. And through the sponsorship of marathons, We try to run with the communities. We try to run with our customers and, of course, our employees. There is a statement that we use in technology business. Technologies turn legacy very fast. What is current today, can become legacy in a few years. And we always say there are legacy technologies, not legacy people. And our strategy to growth has been to invest in people to transform them. In our industry, we have peers. Whenever a new technology comes, they bring in the capability through acquisitions. Unlike that, we have focused on building internal capabilities and doubling down on investing in training to retool and retrain our employees so that they have first right of refusal to new opportunities. And that's a very strategic call that we have taken, that we will give the first right of new opportunities to our existing employees. And that both builds a very interesting culture where employees continuously want to train and reskill in themselves, but also the longevity and loyalty that creates to the organization is tremendous. And all the results that I have shared with you, I believe, are because of that commitment and loyalty that employees then have towards the firm because of the culture and the investments that we constantly make in them. And let me, having spoken about what we've done so far, I'll be remiss if I don't talk for a few minutes about how we are shaping the future. There are several mega trends that are shaping our collective future. And we say we are in several transitions. It's not just the supply chain or energy transition, but there is a big AI transition that is happening. There is a big future of work transition that is happening, which is on back of both COVID and, we talk about it in context of remote work or location agnostic work, but more so in an AI context, what is the future of work? And so we think that's a very interesting transition. And as the world goes digital, securing the digital infrastructure is going to be a mammoth task. So we are invested in technology will play a tremendous role in enabling each one of them. And we are invested deeply in each of these transitions. I spoke about earlier the engineering capability of TCS. And if you look at energy transition and supply chain transitions, they will require bits and atoms coming together, right? They will require the physical and digital merging. And we see our unique capability bringing the richness of engineering and operational technology together with the digital technology. So for now, I'll just give you a glimpse of the first transition, the AI transition, the first item that I showed on the previous chart. And when we think about the future of enterprise architecture, those are the core set of customers that we work with. We think the enterprise architectures will go through a fundamental change. What we have today in most of the enterprises is what you see at the bottom, which is the core IT/OT layer. That is what exists today. And even that exists in a fairly fragmented way with data all over. And what we think will happen is a set of layers that get built upon the foundation that exists today. First is the whole foundational model layers. And we believe there are going to be many foundational models, both general purpose models and industry-specific models. So that's the layer that we believe will sit on top of the current technology infrastructure and the data infrastructure. And on top of it, we believe there are going to be a layer of purposeful agents. The agentic architectures has been spoken about a lot during the last few quarters. But we've always felt that the general purpose models will not solve specific work items that happen within an enterprise. So there'll be a set of purposeful agents which will be built by fine-tuning the general purpose models. And then the output that those purposeful agents generate needs to be integrated together with the workforce to create an impact. So there has to be an AI-augmented engagement layer, right? The speaker before me was talking about the systems of engagement, but there needs to be a way for what AI does to get integrated to what humans do and together create action in the environment. So we are working on creating this 4-layered enterprise architecture, and boy, it's some work. As I said, if I look at this chart bottom up, there's lots to be done to make the current IT enterprise infrastructure data applications to be ready for consumption of these models and AI platforms. It will involve modernization. Also, for AI to engage with these systems of engagement, it requires hooks and adapters to handshake. So how you do that in the current systems of engagement is going to be a massive part of work. And then layer on top of it is all the work that needs to be done with the data. And finally, as I said, specific propositions for different industries and with different task items. And already TCS has built a number of assets across the value chain to orchestrate this entire engagement. And we're seeing a number of industry cases, which I can talk about. Stephanie is going to be here. I can talk about some of those use cases when I speak with her. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, Daryl, and the entire CECP team. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for all the wonderful work that all of you do in raising the consciousness around this topic. Thank you.
And now I have the pleasure of introducing Stephanie Mehta, Fast Company, who is going to be in a one-on-one conversation with Amit. Thank you, Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Amit, for that presentation. I'm looking forward to digging a little bit deeper. So Daryl set us up this morning by talking about this tension between some shareholders' insistence on quarterly results and CECP's members' values around a longer-term perspective. Amit, can you share a little bit about how TCS balances short-term performance with long-term growth?
So in TCS context, we don't think they are opposing forces. We are, of course, in it for the long run. I think perhaps our holding structure, our value systems enables that. But if I step back, Stephanie, everyone talks. Everyone talks about culture eats strategy for whatever lunch, breakfast, whatever you want to say. How do you build culture? It's very difficult to build culture without having a strong purpose. And we believe you need a strong culture. You need a purpose to drive a strong culture. And in that strong culture and environment that you create, where people can realize their potential and be themselves, lies the outperformance in the short term. So, we focus a lot on reminding ourselves of why we exist and our unique purpose and what it means for each one of us. We've seen that creates a positive environment for our employees and a unique motivation to realize their potential. And if our employees realize their potential, the company will realize its potential. So I think we see it in an integrated way.
As a company with 600,000 plus employees, you're probably very tapped into the fear that a lot of employees around the world feel about AI. TCS has a point of view about this, that AI is not going to be an eliminator of jobs, but rather this kind of technology can be very democratizing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So first of all, I think you could, a lot of conversation around AI has been in context of productivity. I think there's been lesser conversation around what we call quality of decision making, right? And we believe that while productivity is obvious, but it truly helps empower people with better quality decisions. And so we think of it as creating sort of elite organizations. I mean, if you think about the bell curve, and how do you remove the curse of the bell curve in certain ways? How do you have the middle of the bell curve, which is the majority of our populations, perform at the same level as the right-hand side of the bell curve? And we believe that through AI, we can empower our workforce to take the right decision, to perform at the same level as the elite performers do. So in that sense, we believe it's going to be, it's going to play a level playing field type of a role for the broader employee base. I think coming to what it means to work, I mean, clearly the way work gets done will change. But amount of work that gets done will only increase. I mean, we've seen, technology wave after technology wave. Each technology wave has created more consumer demand. We are humans. We like to consume. If someone told me I had the best of experience, a digital experience today, which has gotten a lot better, and it'll not go any further, it's not true. We are constantly seeking for the next better thing. So we've seen through the technology cycles that every technology cycle has been demand enhancing, and that demand then percolates into organizations in form of new types of products, new types of services, new type of work. So there is a relocation of work, and we need to go through that transition. I believe it was, when ChatGPT came, the fear was, is that transition going to happen too fast, not giving us enough time to absorb the change? I think whatever we have seen during the last 18 months, I think we'll get our runway to bring the change in a manner that makes it easy for us to redeploy and reskill ourselves.
Beyond corporations and workplaces, does TCS have a point of view about the role generative AI is going to play in society more broadly, whether it comes to economies or culture or jobs and sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, there's so much to be done in sort of improving our lives, so if I may use that word, right? We are always constrained by the time and the effort. If we can get technology enablement in form of AI to do part of that work, it creates bandwidth for us to do a lot more. I spoke about all these transitions that we have to undertake. Having AI as a partner in doing that will add the speed and acceleration that we need to address, including the innovation that we need. Energy, it's interesting because energy is going to be the limiting factor in the deployment besides everything else. How do we think, what are the scientific breakthroughs we need? Can AI help in those scientific breakthroughs? So almost in every field, I strongly believe it's going to have an important role to play.
In your presentation, you mentioned that you might be able to share a few more examples about how TCS is helping your clients undergo digital transformation with the help of AI. Can you share a couple of examples?
Yeah. So I think if you see the state of AI today, there are two sides, the whole predictive side and the generative side, right? I mean, the predictive side of AI has been around for, almost 2 decades in its various forms, right? Especially with the big data wave that started, 10, 15 years back. The predictive side of AI was, getting used in, all of us do online shopping. Your next best offer is a good example of predictive AI, right? It knows what you are buying, how people like you buy, and connecting various dots, what is the recommendation to make to you. So the predictive side of AI has been here. It's really what's caught fascination is the generative side of AI. And I think the third step of the inference, the whole agentic thinking and the inference side of AI is still ahead of us. And the whole reasoning architectures and all of that to really think like a human. So, but on the generative side, which is where a lot of work is happening, it spans. I mean, customer service is a good example where most of the customer interactions, where a lot of context is there. You've called a call center 15 times. You have certain types of problems. How can you are a user of certain types of products. You're potentially calling about those products. There is a lot of literature on that products. How can we equip the person interacting with you with the right context when you call? Or better still, have someone make that interaction very seamless to you. So in the whole customer interaction, customer service space, it is being used big times. In the whole content creation, personalization of offers, suddenly Stephanie is a certain type of persona. I don't need to create an offer that is generic, but I can customize that offer for Stephanie, and the whole content, visuals, everything can be generated for Stephanie, right? So the whole area of marketing, content generation, there is a lot of work happening. The whole area of compliance, regulatory reporting, etc., where someone has to track all the regulations getting released and what might they mean to different parts of the company. So a lot of documentation exists. How do you infer that documentation and then align to that claims? I mean, if you put in a claim, someone has to first receive that claim, then has to match it to your contract, then has to see what is allowed in your contract and what is not allowed. So all of that is documented somewhere, and the ability of generative AI to understand language allows us to interpret and then assist faster resolution of some of those things. So anything I would say that is content heavy. I mean, so I talked about predictive AI dealing with structured data. So now pretty much any unstructured data in form of any language, written content, emails, documents, if we can have this layer to interpret and understand and assist the person interacting with the customers.
I noticed in all of those examples you said someone. So there is a human involved
Absolutely.
in all of this. In our last 30 seconds, Amit, how can companies, the ones in this room, the ones you work with, ensure that the way they deploy AI is deployed responsibly? 2 or 3 things that companies should think about.
Yeah. So I think we were together, Stephanie, in one of the conversations we had with Jeffrey Hinton. And one of the things that struck me was if we think about AI engines learning like humans, right? How do humans learn? Humans learn through the good practices and the bad as well through role modeling, right? So what is the equivalent of role modeling in an AI context? It's really the training set. It's the data set to train the AI engine. And so I think while a lot of things have been spoken about, the guardrails and many other things that we need to establish, which is absolutely right, we need to do all of that. But I think the importance of the right curated training data sets, which imbibes the right values, is going to be important as we fine-tune those models for commercial uses.
Amit Bajaj, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.